Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 633 of Cognitive Dissonance. And Cecil, tonight was also the first public January 6th House Select Committee hearing.
And we watched it live, so you can watch. I don't know if it'll still be there. They might take it down because of a strike or something. But we watched it live on the streams.
We did. And hopefully it's on our tubes.
Hopefully it's on the tubes. If you're watching,
you can go to the tube
tubes,
channels.
You can go maybe see it. I don't know. They might ding us. I don't know. We don't monetize those videos, so I don't know why they would ding us or anything, but they might come back and be like, hey, we have to take that down, or they might put an ad under it. I'm not sure.
We usually just get a nasty gram and they're just like, you can't monetize it. And we're just like, we don't monetize it. We
don't do it anyway. But
right.
It's interesting because the couple of videos got taken down just for their titles in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Because of their titles.
Yeah, we'd have changed our titling.
I'm sure the content is going to get flagged somehow, and they'll probably put some sort of monetization over it. But hopefully it stays. So
yeah. I wonder because it's congressional hearings. I wonder how much that can be anyone's property.
Yeah, I mean,
because it wasn't like
it's their camera.
Yeah, right. And it's their commentary in between.
Yeah. We didn't play that, so
we didn't.
Yeah, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. If you're interested and it's still there, check it out.
Yeah. So the tonight's committee hearing really was the way I thought about it is it's really a prologue, right? So there's a longer narrative, and what they're setting out in the prologue here, they're establishing a cast of characters. They're creating really the outline that they are going to set out to prove throughout the course of the next several meetings and hearings that are all going to be aired publicly. And this included interviewing guests. So they had not guests. Fuck, you're not a guest when you're testifying.
Well, that's how Trump treats it, though.
Right? Yeah,
it's like, I don't want to be your guest.
That's true.
I decline your invitation.
I'm not going. I have other. I've made other arrangements.
No.
Regrets.
They spent the first hour, though.
Yeah,
almost the first hour, just two representatives talking.
Yeah. So Representative Benny Thompson and Representative Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
Thompson went first, and I mean, they really did not pull any punches in terms of their language.
No, they were talking. So Thompson, he was talking about specifically how it relates to white supremacy. He was talking how it mirrors that. He's from Mississippi, and he's like literally mirrors white supremacist gatherings. That's exactly what I saw. And, that talks about the white supremacist nature of our country, I think, and subtext. Yep. That's critical race theory, guys. I'm just letting you know there's a little critical race theory that they weaved into this. Oh. While Liz Cheney stood there. What about
the children?
Then Liz Cheney, they used very strong language, though. They used language that was essentially, talking about sedition, talking about treason, there's language there. I want to say like there was 4 or 5 things that they said. They said sedition, conspiracy, and attempted coup. They specifically also kept on bringing up the Constitution.
They did. And they made a point of creating a timeline that establishes well prior to January 6th that President Trump was pushing a narrative he knew to be demonstrably false. And that he fanned the flames of that, as he continues to do so.
And the fan the flames was a lot of that piece. Right. They kept showing tweets and pieces of his speech and all these other portions of his communication and the people around him's communication and how people reacted to that communication.
And the defense that he has always made and that his sycophantic fucking lapdogs have always made is, look, this was an illegitimate election, so we were trying whatever, right? But he knew that it was not an illegitimate election. They were laying this out in clear and unequivocal detail. At one point, they've got Bill Barr saying, look, I told this fucker, on November, whatever the fuck, and then December, the whatever mother, that this was bullshit, that there was nothing to these claims. They have multiple people. They even have Ivanka Trump.
Yeah.
Ivanka Trump saying, when I heard from Bill Barr that, this was all bullshit, I believed it was all bullshit.
And he didn't say that after January 6th.
No, this was all, and that's the point, is that they're establishing this timeline that for 2 months.
Bill Barr was out before Christmas.
Right. December 23rd.
Yeah.
For 2 months, many people were basically every reliable narrator within the West Wing sphere of influence was telling the President Trump at the time that this was bullshit, that there was no election fraud.
Right.
So it is, but the whole time he's telling a different story, and he's firing and replacing people. He's moving through attorneys general like he's fucking, like he's got a stack of them.
Yeah.
Like he's got a stack of them.
Absolutely. And they showed specifically that he kept on trying to push a narrative, and every attorney general that refused him, he either got rid of or tried to say he was going to replace with somebody else.
I mean, like Barr quit. Barr was like, look, I told him this was bullshit. Barr is a monstrous human being.
He's an awful person.
He's a horrible right-wing piece of shit. And even he reached a limit. Yeah. And then fucking Rosen reached a limit, the replacement for Barr. And then he was going to replace him with that Clark guy who's just a fucking environmental lawyer.
He's like in a Department of Energy or something weird.
Well, yeah, he's an environmental guy. And you're like, what the fuck? It's so obvious that the entire organization was structured around an illegitimate attempt to overthrow what they all knew was a legitimate election.
And they
knew it was a legitimate election.
Everybody knew it. And they all knew it. And the only thing was that Trump just wanted a different answer. He kept asking the same question, wanting a different answer from someone, and no one would give him that answer. And what he finally got was a bunch of people storming the Capitol, people dying because of him. I mean, like this is and the footage that they showed in this, go watch this stream.
It's tough to watch.
These people are getting thrown around, people getting knocked out. There's people like literally attacking police officers, pulling them down, trying to drag them into the crowd. I mean, like these people are they're trying to hurt people. And you listen to our commentaries, you look through, none of that stuff was even possible during any of the BLM marches, because it just literally, there was so many police officers to protesters that there was no chance that there was no way that they could do anything like that.
And the police were far more willing to use violence than they were here. The police for January 6th were woefully, and they said they were going to talk about this and why this happened. One of the things they said when they laid out the case of what they will talk about is why the police presence, why the security presence was not strong. One of the things they also show in great detail is that the president at the time completely abdicated his responsibility during that moment of constitutional crisis. He did nothing.
He sat in the dining room watching TV. He didn't do anything.
Vice President Pence had to be the one who called in reinforcements and the National Guard, et cetera, and then they had to say like, okay, well, now we have to spin this. We have to change the narrative. Yeah. We got to spin this to make it look like actual leadership occurred from the top and not from fucking Pence. There is a mountain of evidence. And the wonderful thing is that Cecil and I were joking about on the stream, these dumb motherfuckers document everything.
They took pictures, they sent texts, they used all their little channels of all their little
They're on podcasts.
There's a documentary guy. One of the people who they interviewed was a documentary guy who just got in with them and filmed the shit out of them. And they used all their footage. You could see it. It's a really interesting watch. So if you get a chance, check it out. And we definitely want you to go see it and pay attention to this, because hopefully they were saying it's going to be done by September. Fingers crossed that it happens and that something happens from it.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, man, because this is like a selfie insurrection.
Yeah.
Like it's filmed.
A TikTok insurrection.
It is, man. Yeah. It's like there's this like level of personal self-aggrandizement and like personal branding that goes into this weird moment that we are at in history right now. So there's a mountain of dipshittery evidence of these guys going, oh, here I am, ready to fuck shit up, and here's why I done fuck shit up. And then they're afterwards like, that was great when I fucked shit up. And then later they're like, I didn't mean to fuck shit up.
I'm sorry. But you'll be surprised because they'll show that like underneath these people, they show their the time they got.
3 years probation.
A couple months probation.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
I have to laugh. Because I've unfinished myself. by foe, my enemy is an animal. And in order to conquer him, I have to think like an animal. And whenever possible, to look like one.
So this first story comes from Crooks and Liars. Laura Ingraham admits Fox News doesn't care about the news.
You could watch that stream with us talking about it, but you couldn't watch it on Fox News because they didn't show it.
They did not. Every other major news outlet covered it.
Yeah.
All of them ran this live.
But Fox News, which is their biggest flagship, right? Like, so Fox News is the thing that gets the most watched.
Yep.
So people who watch Fox News, that's their largest viewership. And you're talking about all the people that are sitting and watching Tucker Carlson, all those people that are ready for whatever. They're not going to get this because they decided that they didn't want to show this, that this wasn't technically newsworthy.
Yeah. So here's what Laura Ingraham said. I think I want to use her exact words because I think it's telling. She said, Stephen, what do you think this is going to be prime time? They're all upset that Fox isn't covering it live. We actually do something called cater to our audience. Our audience knows what this is. We'll cover it. So she's lying here. And it's important to call out the lie, right? She's saying we're catering to an audience. What she's saying is like, look, our audience doesn't want us to play it live. They want something else. That's bullshit. What Fox does is not cater to an audience. What Fox does is sculpt an audience.
That's exactly it.
They create and form and mold an audience. And we know that they are not a reliable news channel because as a result of the January 6th stuff, we know how many news anchors, Hannity reaching out to Mark Meadows one-on-one. Here's the Fourth Estate reaching into Mark Meadows directly and saying, here's what I advise you to do. This is
talking points,
right?
Man.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
There is a parasitic symbiosis which exists between Fox News and the Republican Party and the Republican establishment. And they do not present the news. They don't show the news. They don't even slant the news. What they do is they create a story.
Yeah.
They shape it.
They shape the Republican Party for the United States.
Yep.
That's what they do.
Yep.
And they've been doing it for a long time. It was interesting when I read this because what I remember is during Trump's tenure in office, I remember that there were a few people on staff, especially in the beginning, that were not towing that line. They were they were critical of Trump, critical of what he was doing, right? They're critical. Yep. And a couple of those people left, a couple of them got fired, a couple of them moved on. Some of them moved on to Newsmax even, right? Because they were even too far right for Fox. But some of these people got moved on, and I started thinking, I'm like, oh, there just isn't anybody there anymore.
Yeah,
I think that might be it. There's just not anybody there to even talk about this or to do anything with this. Because the person in this slot, because they showed it it's prime time. This is 7:00 Central,
right?
8:00 Eastern. This is prime time TV. They showed this tonight, and what are they going to do? They're not going to bump Tucker.
No, right.
You know what I mean? You're not going to bump Tucker. No. And Tucker's not going to talk about it. And so they just or Laura Ingraham if she's on at 7 and he's on at 8. Yeah.
Well, the thing is too that if they don't show it live, then what they get to do is they get to clip it, they get to excerpt it, and they get to present it with commentary, stripped of the full context of it.
Sure.
So if you are shaping that right-wing narrative, you don't want to allow your viewers to see something live and then chase it after the fact.
You got to run it down.
And that's why she's like, we'll cover it. Yeah, well, of course you'll cover it. Because
everybody's
what you'll
do, cover it.
Yeah. But you're not going to show it.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah. And showing it, like you say, without context is hyper important.
Yep.
Because, you watch the whole thing, you can get your own opinion on it. And it's not that the senators or they're representatives, they're not senators. It's not that the Congress people that are talking don't have a viewpoint.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can absolutely hear their viewpoint when they talk.
Yeah.
They both think he's a seditious conspiracy. He created a seditious conspiracy to try to stop the handing over of political power in the country.
Yep.
And I mean, they basically laid it out for 2 straight hours. So they have their own viewpoint, but you're right. They got to chase it constantly, and they don't want to chase.
They don't want to chase that.
They want to present what they can, and then they want to present it with Liz Cheney not being as Republican as she could.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? They want to talk about how this guy is You know, the guy who did it, they're going to talk about this guy as like, oh, he's a CRT guy or something. You know, they're going to do something to try to discredit him so that people will not believe what he has to say or believe his words or take what he has to say seriously. They'll say he's clearly partisan.
You've got to maybe step back if you have any honesty at all. You've got to step back and say, in order for me to believe this now, what I'm required to believe is that Mike Pence is not Republican enough.
Yeah, right.
He's a rhino. All of a sudden, he's a rhino. On January 4th, he was not a rhino. Yeah. January 6th, he's a rhino.
They loved him all the way up until
the penultimate moment, right? And then Liz Cheney, a fucking Cheney, is not a Republican. And Mitt Romney is not a Republican. You guys would have fucking came on his fucking face if he had won.
If he'd have won.
You know, get the fuck out. But he's not Republican enough. And then who's the fucking guy that died? McCain is not Republican anymore. And then Michael Flynn, his fucking attorney for 20 some fucking years or whatever. He's not Republican. He's the number of people in your world that Bill Barr, that you have to just say, I loved him, now I hate him. Oh, I loved him, now he's the worst. You've the holy shit, guys. All this for one man?
Yeah, and it's all his choice.
All this for one guy?
And it's all his choice, right? It's never that they're bad. It's that I don't like him anymore. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, and the one guy doesn't like him anymore, and that's enough for everybody. That's enough for everybody. Think about what you're doing. Just think about what you're doing for 10 seconds.
Imagine
I'm literally hanging on the whim of one man.
That's it. Yeah, this is like if the fucking most popular girl in school turned on the other two popular girls.
Mean Girls. Yeah, it's literally a plot of a movie.
It's so funny because Trump even says, and if Mike Pence doesn't do it, I'm going to be very disappointed. Yeah. In other words, he will be a traitor to me.
He will lose my favor.
Right.
And if you lose Trump's favor, that's a big deal.
Then you're gone. You're gone.
Hey, where's the bar? Let's have some drinks here. See what's going on, for crying out loud. Hey, waiter, here, this is for you, all right? Oh, Captain Hook. How about the grand you owe me, huh? Nah, forget about it. I'm just kidding, all right? Oh, this your wife. Oh, a lovely lady. Hey, baby, you're all right. You must have been something before electricity, huh? Okay.
This story comes from CNN.
This just came out today.
This is from this afternoon. FBI arrests Michigan gubernatorial candidate on charges related to involvement in January 6th riot.
These are for the people who are watching. You can't is that really the same guy? He's wearing glasses. Is that really the same guy? This is for the people watching. You have to go check this story out if you're listening to this. You have to go check it out because the video still that they have, it's 100% him. He's just wearing dark glasses and a baseball cap in reverse.
That's not you.
Yeah.
Although I will say too that in his I'm going to be governor or whatever outfit, his fucking jacket is so red. He looks like a fucking valet at a country club.
He really does. He looks like he looks like he went into a place that required jackets.
Yes.
And he's borrowing one for the evening.
So this place requires a jacket. Would you like to borrow one? And you get this fucking super red jacket.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes jacket.
Right. It's a shame jacket. Really it's a shame coat.
It really is. So he got arrested, and here's the thing, like we were talking earlier before and we were wondering, and Tom, you said you're not even sure that this is going to hurt his chances.
Part of me wonders, we've spent some time in Michigan, man. Yeah. Like Michigan has, if you're a fucking right winger in Michigan, that's pretty that's bonkers. Michigan is full of militia, lunatic, crazy people.
Yeah.
And I wonder if to some degree this won't give him credibility. I do wonder if we've lost our fucking soul so bad that engaging in this kind of shit, because I'll tell you what didn't happen, man. This isn't Watergate.
Yeah.
Man, Watergate, they have a bunch of people snuck around the fucking Watergate hotel with some fucking flashlights trying to dig up dirt. And it was a scandal and everybody resigned in disgrace and it ruined their careers. And here, I don't think it's going to matter.
No.
I think you can storm the fucking castle like it's motherfucking Princess Bride and it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter. You could be one of those guys who takes your shield and smashes a window.
Right.
And it doesn't matter.
Probation.
You got probation. And this guy here, this guy got a misdemeanor. And that's the thing is we're talking about, let me just double check here real quick. It doesn't say, but I thought it doesn't say in the story, but I thought I saw earlier that it was just a misdemeanor and he's already been released on bond and stuff. So it's not like it's a violent felony, because a violent felony, you would expect a lot of bond or something like that.
Right.
It's not like he's going to go run away. He's running for governor. I mean,
he's running.
He's running.
That's for sure.
But this is exactly what you're saying though, is that the people who will vote for him don't care anyway.
Yeah,
they were going to vote for him
they might think this is great.
Yeah, they don't. They were going to vote for him. Either they were going to vote for him anyway, or this is actually going to bolster because they're like, he's a guy who's ready to stand up to this evil system that we're in, or whatever.
This is a guy who got popular or achieved some level of political success, protesting, standing in front of Civil War statues, protesting COVID restrictions.
Yeah,
I mean, he's catering to fucking nut jobs.
Yeah, hopefully, I know that their governor up there had a tough go, because of the plot to kidnap her.
Yeah, Whitmer.
All the other stuff that's been going on, and the president coming right out and like essentially threatening her. I mean, we're talking about earlier. We're talking about earlier about these tweets that he said that like you can't read any other way to be like, oh, that's like in some soft way. You read it and you immediately think this is absolutely there. I don't know how you look at this and don't think he's trying to command the crowd to do what he wants.
100%.
And you listen to it and you read it. But he did the same thing with these. Just nobody's prosecuting him for it.
Right. It's exactly right. It's exactly right. This is this kind of like soft, strong language that he uses is that it's that stand by and stand back instead of stand down. It's close enough.
Yeah.
The thing is like there's this weird, and I hesitate to use this term because I don't think he's actually that artful, but there's this weird art to this sort of strong, soft language where he says everything he means to say without saying anything at all. It's couched in this word salad of ambiguity, but it has the tone.
Yeah.
So like one thing Trump has been good at, or has always been good at, is striking a tone and then confusing all of that in this fucking jumble fuck word salad of ambiguous bullshit.
Yeah.
And you're like, at the end of it, you know exactly what he meant, but he didn't say anything.
It's crazy because, it makes it seem like he, like you said, is artful. And it's like my brain short circuits when you say that.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's not possible. I think he's just fucking exceedingly lucky.
I do too.
I think he just is lucky in his language and he's lucky in what he says. And it causes people to do. I also think he has a pull over people that they understand his meaning, whether he makes it or not.
Well, that's the thing is that by saying enough shit, and because his rallies, his speeches, they ramble on for excessive amounts of time.
People get bored.
Yeah, they just wander away.
They're on their phones in the background. They don't care what he's saying.
But if you're one of the fucking true believer diehards, you can find buried in his fucking ramblings about hairspray and dishwashers. You can find whatever message you want buried in there.
Nostradamus.
Right, it is.
Absolutely.
It is.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
Man, there's a bunch of shit I got to read from this. This is from Media Matters. Turning Point USA Conference for Young Women Leaders suggests their role is to get married and have babies.
Yeah.
So...
My favorite part of this is that Charlie Kirk came to mansplain what being a young woman is to young women.
God, thank you.
That's my favorite part of this whole thing is that Charlie Kirk had space on the stage every single day. He was on stage every day. And he's from Talking
at the
Point
Young
USA
Women Leaders Conference
with his shrinking face, really weird face. And that dude is like on stage every day to be like, okay, young ladies, here's how you get to be a very good young lady.
Yep. Yeah, but like weirdly, this is like on the right. This works. This works. I don't know what the fuck. There's a go back in time narrative that and there's a certain element of the female leadership and the female voting bloc on the right that seems hungry for this kind of message.
Yeah.
Because it's working.
Yeah.
We know they're hungry for it because they've been saying it for a long time and it's working.
Sure.
So, I don't think I'm off base here. But the message is so fucking radically misogynist.
Yeah.
And it is so radically patriarchal and so blatantly so. And they barely even anymore couch it in terms of like family values or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, like, just got to read some of the stuff that they said in this fucking thing. Alex Clark, the right-wing influencer and face of TPUSA's efforts to recruit young women through cutesy, girly lifestyle content, was YWLS's first speaker. She kicked off day one with a reference to Taylor Swift's "Look What You Made Me Do," saying, "I'm sorry, the old conservative movement can't come to the phone right now. Why? Because it's dead," before making her grand entrance, replete with smoke machines and a glittery background. So very like girl boss kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
During her speech, she said the theme of the conference was pretty fed up because we are pretty, but we are pissed off. She promised that the biggest, baddest voices in the conservative movement were on the conference's lineup and might actually have some advice for you on how to find your dude-servative. So like, the message is like, here we are. We are women, hear us roar. Also, here's how to find a husband.
Yeah.
And those messages are completely at odds with one another, right? I mean, like, what the fuck does finding your dude-servative have to do with using your political power as a woman or being pretty but pissed? Like, what the fuck is that all about? Well, it's about, you know, creating and buying into this fucking patriarchal narrative that a woman's role is first and foremost to find a man and to get fucking married.
Yeah. And
that's really what you're for.
And to have kids.
And to have babies.
Another part of this, it says, and every woman, this is from another person said this, said every woman has not only the capability, but also the calling to be a mother.
Yep.
And that's a quote. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, why are we even mentioning it? If they all have that calling, it's literally unspoken. You don't even have to mention. You don't have to try to convince people from a stage. If it's literally the calling of every woman to be a mother, then that's it. It's like talk about how blue the fucking sky is. Yeah. Nobody cares, man. Right. But instead, you're trying to convince everybody. You're trying to convince them that that's what they have to do. Yep. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, man, it's so funny because I talked to my wife the other day. We were talking about having kids, you know, years ago when we were first married and we didn't know if we were going to have kids or not. And I asked her, I said, did you ever have any kind of motherly, you know, did you ever think you would? And she's like, not for a fucking single second of my life have I ever thought I wanted to be a mother. Yeah. Not for a second of my life. She actually like grew up resenting how her mother made her watch her sister. Sure. And she didn't want to like have a little kid. Right. She didn't want that. And like there's a lot of people in the world right now that are child free, that don't want to have children, but they want to push this narrative. And this narrative is essentially go stop being in the workplace and start making babies. Yep. Absolutely, man. And we've talked about it before. It's self-evident why they want to do it, right? I'm going to read one other quick quote and we'll come back to that. But she says, Clark was followed by TPUSA founder Charlie Kirk, who you mentioned before, who took to the stage and said, if you want to go meet conservative men that have their act together, that aren't like woke beta men, like start a Turning Point USA chapter, you'll meet lots of them. The whole narrative here has nothing to do with real female empowerment, right? With achieving any kind of educational parity, financial equality, political power. All of these underlying narratives are narratives that make women second-class citizens to men. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not because somebody is a wife that they're a second-class citizen. I'm not trying to suggest that. And it's not because somebody has children that they're a second-class citizen. It's that when they buy into a narrative that by and large says, this is what you're for, that what you are for, because I'll tell you what doesn't happen at conferences full of male leaders. Nobody tells us how to go out and like, who to be, how to be attractive to women, who to go out and like, hey, you know what, maybe start your fucking organization. You'll meet like girls, maybe father children. Nobody talks about that shit. Nobody ever talks about that shit. When I go to like fucking business conferences and shit, they don't talk about nobody's talking about this stuff. They don't talk about this if there's not a woman audience. Right. Yeah, Talking Point USA. It's exactly right. Yeah. This is only a talking point for women because what they're trying to do is sell women an idea of a traditional quote unquote family. Yeah. But what they really mean by that is a family where the man is in charge, women are moved out of the workforce for 9 months to several years at the very least.
And yeah, it's all fucking self-evident power structure bullshit.
Yeah. It's get back in the kitchen. Let me do the thinking, huh?
Right.
Let me do the thinking.
Right.
And they talk about this. That it's interesting that they're bringing all this stuff up, this birthing sort of like push and all that. And it's all on the heels too of this new leaked document from the Supreme Court that talks about taking away women's rights.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like you're in a trash compactor.
It's
well, both sides.
It's a flanking maneuver, man. It's a fucking flanking maneuver.
And this is one of those things though that you watch it from the outside and you get disgusted, but these people eat it up while they're there.
Absolutely.
They eat it up. That's a boss bitch on the stage right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
She's telling you what's up.
Yes. You know, it's you know what it feels like? It feels like the same kind of fucking bullshit liar boss babe nonsense that the MLM people use to sell women on dreams that are never going to come true.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You know what?
You're right.
When those fuckers stand up in front of the fucking crowds, because it's almost all women, the crowd's full of women and tell them they can be their own boss and sell their fucking Lululemon or whatever the fuck it is. And all the time they know none of you people are going to make it. I'm taking all your money. None of this actually works. All of it is a way to manipulate women into a certain narrative that they are being sold in order to disempower, disenfranchise, and steal from them.
Yeah.
That's what this is for. Lulu Row? Maybe it's Lulu Row.
I'm like, Lululemon's like a yoga
Lululemon
pants.
is Lola pants. There's one of them that's Lulu Row or whatever.
You're going to
is
get
the
an
other
email.
One. I know.
You're going to get an email, Tom.
I know.
You said the wrong thing.
God damn it.
You're going to be like, I like my Lululemon.
I was trying to think of another MLM, but
well, just whatever DeVos did. What was that, Amway or something?
Amway.
Yeah, whatever.
But there was that. I watched that documentary about the pants one. That was like Lulu Row, I think it was. And then what's that fucking Herbalife. I almost said Herbal Essences, but that's that orgasm shampoo.
That's a shampoo.
Yeah.
That's different. That's different. Yeah. That's stuff that makes you squirt in the shower.
Yeah. Hey, no cleanup.
No, it's easy. That's great.
Done and done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's where you got to do it.
I'll play. You don't want that scholarship, do you?
I guess I don't.
I guess you don't. I guess you don't.
Fucking hell, I loved this story.
So the other day, I was at work, and I work in higher ed. And for a while, maybe 2 years, and this was, maybe several years ago, Milo Yiannopoulos is pretty well known in the higher ed circuit. And I was sitting there talking to a couple other people, just having a conversation with some people at a table. And we were talking, and someone brought up Milo Yiannopoulos. And I had said, oh, you guys know what he's doing now. And they said that nobody had any idea. And I said, oh, he prayed the gay away. And he's on one of these televangelist shows. And they were all just, their jaws dropped. Like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And he's not gay anymore. He's not he's just as crazy as a Republican. He just found a new grift.
Right.
And none of them knew it. Not a single one of them knew it. He had hit that higher ed circuit.
Right. Yeah.
And they all knew who he was. They all knew who he was then. Yeah. But once he lost that, everybody forgot about him, man. And that's why he's doing this, because he's not fucking relevant.
Yeah, that's exactly. Dude, this is delicious.
Go ahead. I didn't read the title, but go ahead.
It's from The Hill. Milo Yiannopoulos is an intern for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
And I thought when I read intern for Marjorie Taylor Greene, I thought, what's the worst, lowest job I've ever had?
What do you have to do for her? Her burpees? Like, what do you do? What do you do?
You got to do her birthday burpees.
You got to do her birthday burpees or whatever. What do you do for her?
I cannot think of a way to sink lower than being an intern for Marjorie Taylor Greene. For real.
You got to spell check the fuck out of her speeches, though. You know what I mean? Like, you do not want to have a Peachtree dish or a gazpacho police. The previous intern was fascinated with food. Fascinated.
I would rather clean sewers with my fucking toothbrush.
Absolutely. I would rather
be an intern for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I would rather be a fluffer for the UFC. Like, have to fight dudes before they get in the ring. I'd rather have that job.
My job is to be opponent.
Yeah, I'd rather be that guy who gets knocked out 6 times a day.
You know how that guy's record is 37 wins and 3 losses? Yeah. I'm 36 of those wins.
I'm the fluffer. No, but seriously, this tells you if you had, and I know you didn't, I know nobody did, but if you had any thoughts that Marjorie Taylor Greene was a serious person who cared about what she was doing and was trying to foster that and the people that were interning for or whatever, she didn't hire this guy for that. She hired him for the lulz. She hired him because he still has some of that hatred group that's around him, that hate group that's around him. And she hired him because he's a provocateur.
Yep.
And that's what she is. That's what she is. Yep. That's all she wants to be. And she can learn to be a better provocateur from him.
Yeah. There was like a weird provocateur mating call that they went out and fucking tweeted at each other or whatever.
Yeah, they
and
can't,
did their fucking hate dance.
Twitter. No,
oh, they are.
Can't.
They're both off Twitter. You're right.
They have to tweet.
They have to
analog.
telegram it or whatever.
They have to analog tweet, which is, I guess, you have to let a bird out and it flies to someone else.
I couldn't love this more. How fucking desperate is Milo at this point?
Yeah.
How, like you said, he's not relevant, and he's not, but also like, how fucking sickly desperate is this motherfucker for even the slightest single lumen of a spotlight, for one single illuminating candle to be trained in his general irrelevant fucking direction as he dies in the goddamn darkness. You stupid lying piece of garbage.
Yeah.
I love that nobody knows what's happening with him anymore.
Yeah.
I love
that people forgot about him.
Yes.
And
it's delicious.
And this is what she's doing though. She's doing it because she knows that it's going to tweak people.
Yeah.
It's going to be, she's trying to own the libs.
Right.
And so what she's doing is she's going to finding all the people that are genuinely shitty, terrible people that were taken off of Twitter and stuff. I mean, like this guy was removed from Facebook, Tom, because he had said, I'm gonna read a quote.
Oh my God.
This is from Milo. This is why he was taken off Facebook. The former Breitbart journalist posted on Facebook Friday that attacks in Christchurch happened, quote, because this is the New Zealand, Christchurch, they killed
murders.
50 people in a mosque or something like that.
54, I think.
Said Christchurch happened, quote, because the establishment panders to and mollycoddles extremist leftism and the barbaric alien religious cultures, end quote. Blamed it on, it may basically said like, what the fuck were those people wearing?
Yeah, right.
And then they banned him. They're like, no, you can't say that. You're an awful, shitty person. Goodbye. And that's why she wants him.
Absolutely.
She wants him because people were upset enough to report his page enough.
That's it. You're exactly right. She wants all the people that have been kicked off of their various platforms, right? So she can say like, I'm the party of I'm the platform for the deplatformed.
Yep.
And Milo was kicked off of fucking Twitter for tweeting in support of pedophilia. He's tweeted in support of pedophilia.
And I think wasn't he kicked off because he led a brigade against like a black woman?
I'm pretty sure that he did defend pedophilia, and that's why he got kicked off.
I don't think that's why he got kicked off.
Are you serious?
I think he was off Twitter by that point, actually.
Oh my God. I thought that's what did it.
No,
you're probably right because the world is... Oh, God. Holy shit.
Yeah, man, I'm right.
Holy shit,
man. It was that woman who was in Ghostbusters.
Which means the pedophilia shit.
Pedophilia came out afterwards. And it was him talking about how pedophilia was kind of okay.
Right.
That's actually what sank him in a lot of people's, like even the conservatives. Even the conservatives jumped ship from him. That's why he lost everybody.
Oh my God.
They didn't even, the people that I was talking to, they didn't even hear about that shit.
It's so funny that like it's with a guy this reprehensible, he's a fucking Sargon, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how is this any different than the fucking Sargon?
He's not as smart as Sargon. Sargon knows what to say to
edge that line.
He puts his foot across that line sometimes.
Right.
But he's never done anything, I think. I mean, he still might be on Twitter. I don't know.
I don't either.
But he's still on YouTube.
Right.
He's still streaming.
He's still making money.
So he's still making money. And he's able to touch that line a lot, but never go over it.
Right.
And so he's smarter than him because Milo.
You're right.
And I think like these people kind of understand that they need to always push boundaries. They've always got to keep pushing those boundaries or they're going to lose clicks. And that's something they can't deal with. And Milo never knew when to stop because he always wanted more. And so he just kept on going and being as hateful as he could. And that's too much, too fast. You burn out.
Yeah.
You got to be a little more judicious.
You've got to have some fucking he's one of those guys that understood the game, but not the rules.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. And other people do.
Yeah.
Other people understand the rules better than he does.
Yeah. And now he's interning for MTG.
Best of luck.
Fucking tool.
Put them both in a room. There's 3 brain cells.
I cannot think of a less powerful intellectual duo.
Right, okay. What, are we waiting for these guys? Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
This story comes from commondreams.org. 2 weeks after Uvalde's school massacre, Texas GOP vows ban on taking kids to drag shows.
Jesus Christ. This is, again, we talked a little bit about this on our stream, but this is the always trying to shift the conversation away from things they don't want to talk about. The GOP who doesn't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about guns. They want to blame it on something else. And there's other stories in here where they're blaming everything. They blame anything they can but guns for those shootings.
Yep. Man, there is a, and it's a good tactic because, and I have to say it's good because it's successful, right? I mean, I don't mean good in the sense of like morally decent.
Anybody who's ever heard
not
the show
reprobate
believes that you meant that.
So I just got to be, but there is an effective tactic that the right uses to constantly drum up some new battlefield in the culture war.
Right.
And so the fucking drum that they're beating now, which is kind of astonishing because this drum had sort of settled down for a long time, but they're beating on the LGBTQ drum more and more and again and again. And now they've got this whole narrative around grooming, which is just, all this is a rehash and rebranding of the fucking late 90s bullshit that they played where they were saying like all gay people are pedophiles. And they ran this story for fucking 15 years until it petered out.
People forgot about it. And now what's old is new.
Right. They're just, all they did is rehash and rebrand the same bullshit. Frequently now saying trans people are but it doesn't matter because it's also anyone in that LGBTQ sphere. Right. So Uvalde happens and fucking 20 little kids and like 2 grown people are fucking senselessly murdered for no fucking reason at all. And it absolutely unequivocally did not have to happen. Like there are steps, measurable, actionable steps, which could have been taken to prevent that and or reduce the amount of massacre that occurred. And instead of saying, man, that sounds like a priority we should have, instead they're trying to say, let's introduce a law so kids can't go to drag shows. As if lots of kids, first of all, as if like millions of kids are at drag shows. Or like these drag shows have any harm.
Do you take like a field trip to a drag show?
Right.
I don't even understand.
It's a non-thing.
Don't even understand it. It's one of these things.
Nothing.
It's one of those things that they create a law that no one was doing anyway.
Right.
You know, we're just like, nobody was doing that. Or if they did, who cares? It's a parent and their kids. And they can go, you know, I know conservative people that have gone to drag shows and absolutely loved it.
And got a great time.
They've had a great time.
Get the fuck out of here.
What I don't understand is like, and the funny thing is those conservative people probably wouldn't approve, you know, if who fucking cares whether you approve me? But I'm still, you know what I mean when I say that, approve of the lifestyle. They probably wouldn't. But they still have a fucking blast at the drag shows because those drag queens have fucking pipes, baby.
Yeah,
and
they're having a good time.
A great fucking song and they can dance and they have
they're entertainers.
They're entertaining and they have a fucking awesome time, an absolute awesome time. And then they just forget for a little while.
Yeah, well, it's that. You're exactly right. But the hypocrisy there is actually kind of important, I think, because what they're doing is it's sort of like the way that white culture has always been happy to appropriate Black culture and still vilify Black culture.
Absolutely.
You know, think about like the way that like white culture has stolen Black music forever.
Sure.
And then vilified Black music at the same time.
Sure.
White culture stole jazz, the blues, rock and roll, and then they vilify
rap.
They vilify all of the elements.
Blues. Yeah.
All of it. And I think this is really no different. I think that the conservatives are more than happy to take the fruits of fruity labor.
Yeah.
Right? While still, you know, vilifying the people who create it.
Yeah.
And this is really not any different, you know, like they're more than happy to accept, you know, all of the artistic creation that comes from the LGBTQ community. in the arts, in Hollywood,
Sure.
in music,
Yeah.
etc. They're willing to go to the drag show.
Yeah.
They're willing to buy the albums. They're willing to go see the movies.
Yeah.
They're willing to, they'll take all that stuff and they're going to love it and enjoy it. And then at the same time, they're going to fucking hate the people that create it.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think, like this is one of those things that, like we were saying, it doesn't have there's nobody that's doing this in such numbers that you would need a law for it anyway.
Right.
Also, it's none of your business.
And no one's harmed.
Like one of the things is like there is so much digging into your bedroom, digging into your parenting style, digging into how you and your kids identify each other.
Right.
Like, it's none of your fucking business, man. Like, why do I have to pretend I'm a libertarian for you?
Right.
Why do I have to do that?
Yes.
Shouldn't you be doing that? Shouldn't you be being like where are all those fucking right-leaning libertarians being like, this is bullshit laws. We don't need these dumbass laws. You people are making too much laws. Where's that part of the party? They're nowhere to be seen. They're never around. Yeah. They're all like, we don't need a fire department, but we sure as fuck need drag shows. Like we need laws against drag shows. These people are the biggest fucking hypocrites, and every single time it gets pointed out, they don't even they don't fucking care.
They don't care.
They fucking don't care.
They don't care. They spin talk their way around all this nonsense. It's like when it comes to something like guns, which just demonstrably cost lives. Like there's literally no question about whether or not a gun. Here's a question for you, Cecil. Should you bring a knife to a gunfight?
I don't know the answer to that.
And if the answer is like, well, that is a chin scratcher.
I don't know.
You're an asshole.
How big's the room?
Like, yeah, right.
Are we both coated in grease?
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like the saying is you don't bring a knife to a gunfight because we recognize the efficiency of guns.
Yeah, you recognize the supremacy of one of the weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
So and we know this stuff. And they're not solving that problem on purpose.
Yeah.
And when that comes up, what they say is we have to, we really need to enforce the laws that are on the books. And I want to be like, all right, well, if that were the answer, why aren't you enforcing those laws?
Yeah.
Who's in charge? You guys look around Texas. All you motherfuckers are the ones in charge.
Yeah. Well,
so if that's the answer, why didn't you solve the problem?
It's not the answer because then one of them will get up and say, well, none of those laws that they have, none of those laws that they're going to say are going to help. None of those things are going to help.
It's all bullshit. It's all both sides of their mouth.
All it is they just want to keep you talking so that you'll forget about it eventually. Right. So that eventually those coffins and that ground, that overturned ground is going to get cold and nobody's going to talk about them. Did you see Matthew McConaughey?
I didn't see it. I heard about it.
He's talking
because he's from Uvalde, right?
And he's specifically talking about like the only way they could identify one of the girls was from her shoes.
Oh my God.
And that's what he's talking about. It's just this awful, shitty, and he's emotional. And it's sad to watch because the mom is like right there. And she's got the baby shoes on her. You know what I mean? Like, like these people have been murdered and nobody cares, man. And when I say nobody, I mean any Republican.
Man, I read an op-ed, I don't know, a week or two ago. And it really made an interesting point. I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but I'll share it. And it was like, maybe the pictures of these bodies should be made public.
Yeah.
In the same way that,
I know what you're going to say.
Emmett Till's body was made public, and it spurred a cultural outrage, and it spurred a cultural moment.
It gets people viscerally. Gets people.
When W invaded Iraq, he didn't allow any of the bodies of the soldiers who were killed in combat to be seen. He didn't allow any of the caskets to be seen as they were getting loaded off of airplanes, etc. He hid the horror of war from the American people intentionally in order to create and maintain a false patriotism. And I think that as horrible as it is, maybe we need to think about showing these children that have been massacred and like forcing ourselves to see what happens to a body when it's hit by a high energy 223 round. Yeah. Because, remember we were in Michigan and like that guy. So my uncle has land up in Michigan. Cecil and I have gone up there many years. We used to go up there and we go shoot clay pigeons. And the neighbor's a fucking total lunatic. And every year that we'd go up there, this fucking neighbor would come over and he'd be drunk as a skunk and he'd like ride over on like a four-wheeler. And he rode over one time and he had his assault rifle. I don't know what kind. It was an AR style assault rifle. And we had set out, and I don't remember if this was you or my buddy Jacob.
It was Jacob.
But we had set out these plinking targets, and they were made of like a quarter-inch plate steel.
They're thick. They're steel. You use them to, when you shoot them with a 9mm or a 45 caliber bullet, they spin.
They spin around. Yep.
And they get a little dent.
And so, we shoot these things with a handgun, and then they'd spin around and they make a sound, and you knew you hit it. And they were fun to sort of plink at or to target practice at. And so this guy comes tearing down, and he's got this assault rifle, and he's like, and he's drunk as a skunk, and he loads this thing up, and he starts shooting my plate steel targets that I've been shooting all day long with, like you said, 45 9mm rounds, regular handgun rounds. Yeah. And they just bored holes.
Yeah. You at first,
bored holes.
You said to me, I thought he missed.
Yeah.
I thought he missed.
It didn't even spin.
It didn't even spin. You walked up and he just bored holes right through the sheet metal.
Yeah. These are incredibly impressive high energy rounds that these guns shoot. And these are not the same thing as like what's fired out of your fucking Glock.
And I want to add, I have friends too who have some guns that feel like long guns that run off pistol ammo. So they make these new guns that are very much look like they don't look like an AK-47, but they look like some sort of an assault rifle, right?
Sure, right.
They're long guns. They have this friend of mine had like holographic sights on it. So you literally couldn't miss with the gun.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And I remember shooting it and thinking, this gun is so amazing. And I asked him and he's like, yeah, it's 9mm ammo. I would even be okay with something like that, right?
Over this
stuff that they're shooting with this, these giant rounds that can, like you say, go right through there's nothing that's going to save you. Go through a fucking brick wall.
Well, I remember going again, same thing up my uncle's land. You shoot through. We'd shoot this like old beat up trailer.
Yeah.
And it would go right through a refrigerator. Yeah. It would just go right through a refrigerator. Like the refrigerator wasn't there.
Yeah.
And these are being used on regular unarmed people.
Yeah.
Like just regular kid, like a fucking kid in a 4th grade classroom.
I don't know what you need.
Or somebody at a dance club.
I don't know what you need that gun for.
You don't need it for anything,
I don't know
man.
what you need that gun for, other than just to have that gun.
Right.
And I want to talk about one thing I hear a lot is I'll hear from people on the far left that will make this argument over and over. And I am willing to listen. You know me. I'm always willing to listen, right? They talk about, look, there's people in vulnerable communities that need these guns to protect themselves. And that's the comment that they make.
Right. I've heard that. Yeah.
And I'm sympathetic to people in vulnerable communities. But what I want you to do is I want you to show me one time in history where they use those guns to protect them and there wasn't way more force applied to them right afterwards, right? Because you can point to the people who were in Baltimore who hold themselves up in their place with their guns trying to keep the police out, and then they dropped a bomb on their place and blew them up. Look at what happened in Waco. Look at what happened, like
Ruby Ridge.
Fucking look, the amount of guns you have didn't save Fred Thompson.
Right.
Right? Like that guy was killed. He was murdered in his room in Chicago, and it didn't matter how many guns he had.
Right.
And so what I want to know is like, you say these guns can save these people. You say these guns are useful, but what I say is not against a fascist state, they're not. And the moment what's going to happen is they're going to show one bit of power outwards, and then they're just going to receive so much damage afterwards that they're going to either be eradicated or they're never going to want to pick up guns again because so many of them will be murdered.
Yeah, I think that I've looked this up because I've heard that argument so many times, and I have not found any instances where any data actually shows that those guns make people any safer. Guns don't make anybody safer. Nobody is safer because of guns. A gun in your house does not make you safer. Guns do not prevent violent crime. I know we got a message from a listener that lives in a community, and he feels vulnerable in his community because it's a high crime neighborhood. But the thing is that even in high crime neighborhoods, you having a gun does not make you less likely to be injured. It doesn't. Like the data is clear. Yeah. There's a ton of data on it. So like it's something that makes you feel safer. And I want to be clear. I'm sympathetic to the need to feel safe. I get to wake up and feel safe.
Yeah.
I know that I just get to wake up and I just get to feel safe. So fuck me for saying it. But I am also saying that in good faith, I have looked this up and the data is super overwhelmingly clear. Guns make us less safe.
And I want to say too, when I talk about giving up guns, I talk about everybody giving up guns.
Me.
I'm not talking
everybody.
I'm not talking about like just the leftists give up their guns.
And not just ARs.
And not just ARs. I'm talking about when we talk about getting rid of guns, I'm saying get rid of the guns and the guns are gone. And that's a crime now to have that gun.
Right.
And that is a serious crime to have that gun. So you better make sure that it gets in that buyback program, because if it doesn't and you can't account for it, you're going to fucking prison.
Yep.
And what that also does is it takes the guns out of the police officers' hands. Because look, all around the world, there's only small forces of people with guns in those countries that can do the things that they do in our country. The people with guns, the police officers with guns in our country, literally they can do whatever they want to you. And they can just hide behind the fact that they were afraid.
Yep.
And they can do that all the time. If you take those guns away, their guns aren't necessary. And I also feel like they shouldn't have them, and we should be taking those guns away from them.
Yeah. And that process will take time.
Yeah.
Like that's not an overnight process.
I do think that's the end goal.
That is.
I don't think that we should just be like, well, I'll just get rid of my guns and and that's it. Like, no, that's not what I think. I think people, like the entire United States, should move toward getting rid of all the guns.
Right.
Period.
Yep, all of them. Dude, I couldn't agree more. Like, absolutely, just there should not be civilian ownership.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we're already at a place where, like it or not, and I get that the answer is often not. I get that. But the reality is that you are already wildly outgunned.
Yeah.
That's it. You are already,
and
that ship has sailed.
They have a phone and a radio, man.
Right.
There's going to be more people. There's more than you.
There's more of them. They're better organized. They're better trained, and they're better armed. That's already done. That is done. So the solution is to change our cultural elements to get rid of guns from, if the police shoot somebody now, they always can say, to your point, I was afraid. I thought he was reaching for a gun. I thought he had a gun in the glove box. I thought he had a gun. But when there's no guns on the streets, when that narrative has not been true for 10, 15, 20 years, then when that cop shoots somebody, he goes to prison because that's no longer a viable defense.
He doesn't even have a gun at that point.
Right. But I mean, that will take time.
Yeah. But I also
that's
think
how we get there.
Like at that point, you don't even have a gun. You go, you're like, okay, well, everywhere else in the world that doesn't have guns, the cops don't have guns. Okay, cool.
Right.
We don't have guns either.
And there's there are more guns in America than there are people.
Yeah.
There are more fucking guns in America than there are people. And the government nobody has any idea who has any.
No.
So you've got to make it, to your point, if we're going to do it, you've got to have a buyback program, and then you've got to have a very strict, if it turns out you have a gun and you are not, for whatever reason, like if you don't have the special nobody gets one license, right? Then like, that's it. It's jail time.
Yeah.
It's fucking jail time.
You turn it into something really, really bad where like that, and you're right. You can't do it overnight, but eventually you'll start seeing all those different gun deaths that happen because of suicide, because of, accidents.
It's means reduction.
And then also just people getting shot, et cetera. All that stuff starts going down. It's just going to start going down, and it'll just keep going down more and more and more. You just make it a little more difficult time and time and time. It'll take care of it.
Yep.
I'll guarantee you'll never be a member here.
Member? Are you kidding? You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium? But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks. Only reason I'm here is maybe I'll buy it.
Buy? Bushwood?
This story is from Bonkers Right Wing Watch. Lauren Witzke says Uvalde shooting was a federal operation to prevent Hispanics from supporting the GOP.
That feels 100% like a Mad Lib.
Yes, it does.
100% feels like a Mad Lib.
Yeah. Oh, man. It so does.
So this was the show, or this was the partner of Milo for a little while.
Oh, it was. You're right.
Lauren Witzke, who was also on those. She took over when Rick Wiles got COVID for a little while.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I love this image behind them. If you can't see, you can't see this if you're listening.
Oh my
they
God.
currently
Look
have like really badly photoshopped a RoboCop kind of face on someone, and I don't even know who they're trying to show. I don't know either,
but it looks insane. And it looks so MS Paint.
It looks terrible.
It looks so cheap.
All right.
It's like something Ian would do.
It really looks bad. All right, so here we go. I'm going to play this.
Okay, so of course I think about the conspiracy behind all of it. Like, okay, why? what do they gain from this besides the gun control push?
Yeah.
But also,
but it literally, like you say that, but there's never like there's a gun control push, but nothing happens.
Nothing happens. No, nobody should be worried. Like our fucking pipe dream, we're gonna get 100 emails, guys. No one's gonna take your guns.
Yeah,
it's like if you're worried about that, you could fucking feel free to go outside and shoot your guns.
Us talking about it is never going to change anybody's mind.
See, so I don't matter.
Us talking about it is as effective as anybody else in the country talking about it. It means it doesn't fucking matter and nothing's going to happen.
Here's how much it doesn't matter. With the fucking president, we are less influential than the president of the United States. He went up there and was like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Nothing will happen.
Yeah, nothing.
Literally nothing.
Nothing's going to happen.
I do have to say, though, I love when somebody starts off, Cecil, with, you got to think about the conspiracy elements.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you certainly do.
You do.
You fucking loon.
You do. And it's crazy, too, because these people, this is a person who's literally peddling a conspiracy, has somebody next to him that is going to nod along. But then you just think about all the people that are listening and they are 100% right behind this.
Oh, yeah.
They are going to eat it up.
Yep.
Hispanics are starting to vote
Republican
and conservative. They specifically targeted a school in an area that is majority Hispanic. It's essentially Mexico is what it is.
Yeah. It's essentially Mexico.
Woof.
Wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
Jesus.
Harlem is essentially part of Africa.
Jesus.
What?
Right.
What
is happening right now? I don't even know.
Holy shit.
And they went specifically for a Hispanic district, murdered 19, of course, if this was like, a false flag or he was MK Ultra.
MK Ultra!
Isn't that when they gave people like...
It's from the fucking 60s when they get we did a fucking citation needed on this. That's when they gave people LSD.
Yeah. What does that have to do with
that? Well, there's a resurgence in the conspiracy circles of MK Ultra as part of a mind control experiment that's back.
Are you serious?
It's totally back. It's part of the part of the new oeuvre of conspiracy.
I quit it all.
JFK Jr. was actually a big part of that. He's coming back. He's going to be big. He's getting a lot of the attention he deserves.
He's lacing all the water down there with LSD.
Fuck.
Amazing.
There was a reason behind this because, they're watching as those Hispanics are starting to lean more conservative and these people are crazy. Midterms are coming up and there's no limit to how far they'll go.
Oh,
there's
sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you think it up and you say it out loud, there's no limit to how far they'll go. I mean, I just made it up, so.
And I love how they're so conveniently focusing on the Uvalde shooting and ignoring the racial dynamics of the Buffalo shooting the fucking week before.
Like the week before. Sure.
Literally a week before.
Was that a false flag too?
Yeah, it's a false. It's a different false flag. It's MK Ultra Plus.
Yeah.
This is actually part of an OPEC Plus.
Totally different.
Get the fucking.
No limit to how far they'll go to change the public narrative on things. And, so I think there was...
What's the public narrative? That someone can walk into a school and shoot people to death and essentially nothing happens because of that? Is that what the public narrative is? Because that's still fucking fine.
The thing is too, so here's what you've got. This just occurred to me. Here's what you got to believe. That the Democrats are recruiting a murderer to shoot Hispanics so that the Hispanics will vote for Democrats because the Democrats are still the only ones who will do anything about massacres. Wouldn't a good alternative be to also do something about massacres?
Maybe just be proactive about the massacres.
Like, wouldn't it be nice if I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that card from you and I'm going to be the one that solves the massacres of the innocents problem.
Here's the other thing that doesn't make any sense. You're saying it's a false flag, right? You're saying like, it's a false flag. Nobody actually died. But like, we say that murder's a bad thing, right? So whether it happened or not, whether it was fake or not, it's still, even if it's just a theoretical school shooting, shouldn't we not have any school shootings at all?
Right. Look, if I said, all right, I'm going to murder 20 children in a school for X, Y, or Z reason, and I'm able to do that, and then the political result is that people make it harder for that to ever happen again. That's a net good.
Yeah.
Because like, It should be impossible for me to perform that false flag. You can't do this false flag in Australia.
If it's not happening now, like you say, it's not happening now, it's a fake thing.
Right.
And then we make a law for it to double plus not happen. What really happened?
Yeah.
What actually happened? Nothing. Nothing changed.
Look,
Dude, yeah. I guess the worst is that you can't go out with your buddies on the weekend and shoot holes through quarter-inch
plate steel. What the fuck? Who like to shoot groundhogs?
Faceted. Of course, it was a federal operation in order to implement gun control. Now even the GOP is fighting for it.
Oh, sure.
Fox News is calling for it. Not 1 inch. Do not give them 1 inch because they'll take the whole thing.
Yeah, that's all I got is 1 inch.
Look, do not give them a single inch of ground to dig more graves. Whatever you do, don't give them a single inch of that ground.
Don't give them an inch because those kids were about to hit a growth spurt and they'll take, but that's not happening anymore.
Right.
1 inch because they'll take the whole thing is a
Kelly,
warning now. And I know it's very sad and I know it's awful, but also like,
why is it sad? It's made up. If it's made up, it's not sad.
Well, no, I think when they're saying false flag in this respect, I think they're saying that the murders happened, but that it wasn't some random person that did it. It was the Democrats who recruited a murderer to murder kids specifically to achieve a result. So I think they're saying that the murders did happen, but the flag or the person, it was done by the Democrats. The Democrats arranged for these murders. That's, I think, what's being said. Not that it didn't happen. I know, man. I know that slow, dead blink. I know. I don't even. I
can't even anymore.
Dude.
I just can't.
I'm sorry, man.
These people are the stupidest.
I'm so sorry.
People in the world.
I know.
And then they keep on spreading these lies, and all they're doing is just trying to protect their little feelings, just trying to protect their little tiny like I'm not wrong.
Yeah, right.
It's. I mean, are you willing to week after week after week see little kid-sized coffins just to not be wrong? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer
100%.
is yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And like never let this pass by. They're doing this so they specifically don't lose a job.
Yeah.
So that, because this always comes down to one person.
Yep.
This is not about principles or party. Like when somebody is afraid that they won't get reelected, they are afraid that they will lose their job. If somebody said to me, Tom, you're either fired or I'm going to shoot a baby, I'd be like, fucking, I'm fired. Let me get my shit or don't let me get my shit. I don't care.
Actually, I could burn it all down. I don't need it.
I'm out.
Need anything in my desk.
If somebody, like for real, it's like, it's such an easy moral question.
Yeah.
When these guys are saying, look, I can't take action because I won't get reelected. What they're saying is, I'm unwilling to lose my job to save lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just one dude's job. And these guys it's not like they're guaranteed this job for life. You don't have fucking tenure in Congress. They could lose their job just because they didn't get elected. So it's even more capricious.
Any of these guys could easily flip sides and then probably still win their district.
Yeah.
They could easily do this one thing and probably still win their district after.
Probably
still win their district.
Even if they didn't and they got to do the right thing once.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah, you know what? But I'm going to go back to the job I had before I was in Congress.
Suddenly it sounds like a conspiracy when you say a GOP person is going to do the right thing once.
Yeah, right. That's never going to happen.
Sounds like a conspiracy when you say
it's not going to happen.
Yeah. MK Ultra.
MK double ultra.
Double plus special ultras. So I want to thank you for joining us on YouTube tonight. We want to appreciate you guys hanging out. I don't know if it's still there. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, but check out the stream we did. It's 2 hours long where we watched the stuff and the hearing. And then we talked about it in between when they took breaks and stuff. And we had little conversations about it. So you could go check that out. Should still be up here. Fingers crossed. Who knows? Before you leave a comment about how terrible my hat looks, I want to mention that I have fresh stitches in my head. So I'm covering up my face. So please don't leave a comment about how horrible I look. I know I look horrible, but don't leave a comment for it. It's just being nice. It's just being nice today. Just be nice to me.
I think you look great,
10
Cecil.
seconds. Be nice. Don't leave the comment. But do leave a comment about anything else. Leave a comment in there. It's really good for the algorithm. You guys are doing a great job. Everybody's liking these videos. Everybody's leaving comments. You're sharing them. We appreciate you're growing the channel, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi-alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death in towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.